My precious child, listen carefully because what I am about to reveal has never been released like this before. On March 30th, Archangel Michael is crying loudly, not in weakness, not in defeat, but in holy urgency because you keep ignoring his urgent messages. This is not random. This is not emotional exaggeration. This is an emergency in the spirit realm, and it concerns you directly. There is a reason you felt led to open this today. Out of millions of voices online, something pulled you here. That pull was not an algorithm. It was alignment. It was divine timing. And March 30th is not just another date on the calendar. It is a spiritual checkpoint, a turning gate between delay and destiny. Archangel Michael hath been signaling you repeatedly. Through dreams you dismissed. Through sudden thoughts you brushed away. Through uneasy feelings you labeled as stress. Through unexpected interruptions you called coincidence. But they were not coincidences. They were coded warnings. And now, heaven is raising the volume. Do you understand what it means when a chief warrior of heaven cries loudly? It is not emotional instability. It is divine alarm. When Archangel Michael raises his voice, it is because a line hath been crossed. A window is closing. A decision is overdue. For weeks, maybe even months, you have felt something shifting around you. Relationships acting strange. Doors opening and then closing suddenly. Financial patterns fluctuating. Your sleep disturbed at odd hours. You thought it was normal life pressure. But behind the scenes, a spiritual battle has been intensifying around your calling. March 30th marks a deadline in the unseen realm. There is a message you were supposed to act on. A move you were supposed to make. A conversation you were supposed to initiate. A habit you were supposed to break. But hesitation has delayed protection protocols that were meant to activate over your life. Archangel Michael is not crying because he is powerless. He is crying because you are powerful, and you do not realize the consequences of ignoring divine instruction. Let this sink in. When heaven repeats a message 3 times and it is still ignored, the tone shifts from whisper to trumpet. You have been sensing the trumpet. Think back. How many times did you feel a strong urge to pray at a specific moment but postponed it? How many times did you feel warned about someone but convinced yourself you were overthinking? How many times did you sense that something in your home environment needed attention, but you delayed? This emergency is connected to your spiritual covering. There is an atmosphere trying to attach itself to your space, not to harm you, but to distract, delay, and drain you. And Archangel Michael has been standing guard, pushing back what you cannot see. But divine order requires your cooperation. Heaven does not force. He alerts. And this is why the crying has become loud. March 30th is a pivot point, a dividing line between passive living and protected living, between spiritual sleep and spiritual awareness. If you ignore this moment, the lessons will not disappear, they will intensify until they are understood. But if you respond now, something extraordinary shifts. The urgency you feel in your chest is not anxiety. It is activation. The discomfort you feel hearing, this is not fear. It is recognition. Your spirit knows this message is real. Archangel Michael has been assigned to your case specifically because your next season carries influence. There are people connected to your future who cannot step into their breakthrough until you step into yours. Your obedience is not isolated. It is generational. And this is why the cry is loud. He is calling you to pay attention to your environment, to cleanse what feels heavy, to realign your daily routine, to stop ignoring small red flags, to take seriously the nudge that keeps returning. You are closer to a breakthrough than you think, but breakthrough requires awareness. Something will attempt to distract you within the next few days. A sudden emotional trigger, an unexpected misunderstanding, a wave of doubt. When it happens, remember this message. It is not random. It is resistance reacting to your awakening. Heaven is not panicking. Heaven is positioning. But you must choose to respond. Right now, in this moment, pause internally. Breathe slowly. Ask yourself, what have I been ignoring that I know is important? The answer will rise immediately. That is the message Archangel Michael has been trying to amplify. Do not brush it away this time. Because March 30th is not about fear, it is about prevention. It is about divine intervention before unnecessary delay. It is about protection activating at a higher level. You were meant to hear this before that date arrives. And this is only the beginning of what needs to be revealed. Beloved soul, what I am about to uncover now will explain why the urgency has not stopped. The crying of Archangel Michael on March 30th is not symbolic noise. It is a direct response to your silence. Heaven has been waiting for your agreement, not your perfection, not your strength, just your agreement. But you have been hesitating at the edge of obedience. There is something specific you were instructed to correct. It may look small in the physical world, but in the spiritual realm it carries weight. A delayed apology, a boundary you refuse to set, a distraction you keep entertaining, a compromise you quietly justified. Each time you postponed action, the atmosphere around you thickened. Not cursed, not destroyed, just slowed down. Archangel Michael does not cry over minor matters. He cries when destiny is being delayed by avoidable resistance. And March 30th stands as a spiritual checkpoint because cycles are closing. What you tolerate past that point will either be purified or exposed. That is why the tone has intensified. Have you noticed how patterns keep repeating? The same kind of conflict, the same financial pressure, the same emotional exhaustion. You prayed for change, but ignored the instruction attached to the answer. Protection was ready to activate at a higher level, but alignment was missing. Heaven works in partnership. Divine defense responds to human obedience. This is where many people misunderstand spiritual warfare. They think the battle is always external, but often the greatest shift happens when you adjust internally. When you take responsibility for what you can control. When you stop blaming circumstances and start responding to conviction. That is when Archangel Michael's sword moves decisively. There is also something else you must understand. Not everyone around you is meant to move into your next season. Some people were temporary assignments. Some were lessons. Some were mirrors. And the discomfort you feel lately is not confusion. It is separation beginning. You sense it. Conversations feel different. Energy feels misaligned. But you keep forcing normalcy because change feels uncomfortable. March 30th is not just about protection. It is about transition. If you ignore the warning, transition will feel like loss. But if you respond now, transition will feel like promotion. The difference is preparation. And that is why this message is urgent. Even now, as you listen, you feel a mixture of conviction and relief. Conviction because you know where you have delayed. Relief because you realize heaven has not abandoned you. The crying is not rejection. It is desperate love. It is a warrior refusing to let you walk unguarded into preventable struggle. Something significant is trying to enter your life after this date. An opportunity. A Ghanaian. a responsibility. But if your environment remains spiritually cluttered, you will mismanage what is coming. Archangel Michael is clearing space, but he needs your cooperation. Pay attention to your thoughts over the next few days. The enemy of your progress will attempt subtle distraction. You may suddenly feel tired when it is time to pray, busy when it is time to reflect, irritated when peace is required. You might fall for. These are small diversions designed to keep you spiritually unfocused. Instead, choose awareness. Choose discipline in the small things. Adjust your schedule. Clean your space. Remove what feels heavy. Pray even when you do not feel emotional. Speak truth even when your voice shakes. These are not dramatic acts. They are alignment steps. And alignment activates angelic reinforcement. Archangel Michael is assigned to guard purpose, not comfort. When you step toward purpose, protection intensifies. When you drift into delay, warnings increase. That is the pattern you are experiencing right now. And listen carefully. If this message is resonating deeply, do not keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who has been feeling spiritually stuck. Comment your thoughts below so you anchor this decision publicly. Like this video so the message spreads to those who are unknowingly standing at the same checkpoint. Subscribe and become part of this growing spiritual army that refuses to ignore divine instruction. There is power when we move together in awareness. Something powerful is unfolding, and you are not here by accident. The urgency you feel is confirmation. The clarity forming in your mind is activation. You are being repositioned before March 30th arrives. Hold on, because what is about to be revealed next will explain why this date was marked long before you ever sensed it. Chosen one, now you must understand why March 30th was marked long before you ever felt the pressure building. This date is not random on heaven's calendar. It represents the closing of a spiritual delay that has followed you quietly. Not a curse, not punishment, but unfinished obedience. Archangel Michael has been assigned to your timeline because your destiny carries influence beyond what you currently see. There are people who will find strength because of your testimony. There are doors that will open for your family because of your alignment. There are generational patterns waiting to break because you finally decide to respond. But heaven does not force breakthroughs. It prepares environments. For months, maybe even years, there has been a subtle resistance surrounding your progress. Every time you come close to momentum, something interrupts it. A distraction, a misunderstanding, a sudden doubt. It feels like you are moving forward and backward at the same time. This is what spiritual delay looks like. Not dramatic destruction, but constant postponement. Archangel Michael has been standing at the gate of your next season, holding back interference that you cannot see. Yet divine order requires your agreement to step through. And this is where the emergency lies. March 30th represents a gate that will not remain open indefinitely. There is something you must release before that date. It may be an old identity. It may be fear disguised as caution. It may be a relationship that no longer aligns with your growth. You already know what it is. The Spirit has whispered it to you repeatedly. That quiet conviction you keep pushing aside is the very key. Why is the cry loud now? Because time-sensitive opportunities are aligning. There is a divine arrangement taking place behind the scenes. Conversations are being prepared. Favor is being positioned. Resources are being redirected. But alignment must match opportunity. If you cross into the next season carrying what should have been surrendered, you will feel overwhelmed instead of elevated. This is not about guilt. This is about urgency. Archangel Michael does not cry because you failed. He cries because you are close. You are closer than you think to a shift that will redefine your path. But proximity to breakthrough often triggers intensified resistance. The closer you get, the louder the distractions become. Have you noticed increased mental noise lately? Overthinking, or visiting old wounds, imagining worst-case scenarios. That is not random. It is an attempt to exhaust your focus before the gate opens. Because a distracted mind cannot recognize divine timing. March 30th is a spiritual checkpoint where one of two things happens. Either you step into accelerated clarity, or you repeat another cycle of delay. The choice will not feel dramatic in the moment. You will feel simple. A decision to obey. A decision to release. A decision to trust. And that simplicity is what makes it powerful. Heaven is not asking for extreme sacrifice. It is asking for sincerity, for honesty, for immediate response to the instruction already given. When you act, Archangel Michael's covering intensifies. When you hesitate, warnings increase. Right now, pause internally and ask yourself, what conversation have I been avoiding? What habit have I justified? What boundary have I refused to set? The answer rising in your heart is not imagination. It is confirmation. Something else is important. Do not confuse comfort with peace. Comfort keeps you familiar. Peace aligns you forward. The discomfort you feel about change is actually evidence that growth is near. If everything felt easy, there would be no transition. The crying you sense from Archangel Michael is not despair. It is fierce protection mixed with urgency. It is the sound of heaven refusing to let you waste another season in unnecessary delay. You were chosen to hear this before the date arrives so that you can act in advance. Prevention is always lighter than correction. When you respond now, you avoid lessons that would have required pain to teach. Do not underestimate this moment. Do not scroll past conviction. Do not rationalize the instruction again. Because when March 30th arrives, the gate will respond to your decision made today. If this message is piercing your spirit, type "I respond now" in the comments. Blessing code 3491 has just been released over those who choose immediate alignment. As this gate stands before you, remember this. When you sow obedience, you reap acceleration. When you sow hesitation, you reap repetition. The word declares, whatever a man sows, that he will also reap. And that is not distant scripture. It is God speaking directly into this moment of your life. And if this message has awakened you, do not let the fire stop here. This is the hour where obedience becomes seed. When you release your support through Super Thanks, membership, or PayPal, you are not funding a channel. You are sowing into souls who are standing at their own March 30th moment. The Lord says, "Give, and it shall be given unto you." And this is not theory. It is living covenant. As you plant into this mission, light multiplies in places you may never physically see. I feel led to say this clearly. Your generosity today becomes someone else's rescue tomorrow. The oil does not run where there is no vessel, and your giving becomes that vessel. Do not treat this as a casual donation. Treat it as prophetic alignment. Heaven records obedience in every form. When you partner through membership or release a seed through the PayPal link in the description, you are expanding the reach of this warning to thousands who are still unaware. The harvest attached to this obedience will return to your house in ways you cannot predict. The same urgency you felt in this message is the same urgency heaven feels about reaching others. Step into this moment boldly. Activate your seed. Become part of the army that carries light before the gate closes. Faithful one, Something is shifting in the atmosphere around you even as you continue listening. The urgency you have felt is not meant to leave you anxious. It is meant to awaken your discernment. Because what is approaching March 30th is not only about what you must release, but also about what is attempting to attach itself quietly to your space. Archangel Michael has been guarding your household more intensely than you realize. There have been subtle disturbances lately. Small tensions rising without clear cause. Moments where peace felt interrupted for no obvious reason. Random waves of heaviness that came and went. You may have blamed stress or routine life pressure, but spiritually, there has been movement. Whenever destiny accelerates, opposition observes. This does not mean disaster is coming. It means importance is increasing. The greater the calling, the more intentional the protection required. Archangel Michael's loud cry is a signal that spiritual boundaries around you must be strengthened immediately. Look closely at your environment, not only physically, but emotionally and spiritually. What conversations dominate your home? What content fills your ears daily? What attitudes are being tolerated that drain clarity? Atmosphere matters more than most people understand. Peace is not accidental. It is cultivated. There is a specific distraction that has been trying to root itself into your daily routine. It looks harmless. It even feels productive at times. But it consumes focus that should be directed toward preparation. Every minute you spend feeding it, you feel slightly more scattered, slightly more restless, slightly less grounded. That is not coincidence. Archangel Michael is calling you to reclaim authority over your time and space. Because the next season requires mental sharpness, and dull focus delays opportunity. The enemy of destiny rarely attacks loudly. It infiltrates subtly through habits. March 30th will amplify whatever foundation you have built before it. If your foundation is aligned, acceleration will feel smooth. If your foundation is unstable, pressure will expose cracks. That is why the warning is urgent now, not later. Have you noticed how certain people react when you start making disciplined changes? Sometimes they become uncomfortable. They may question you. They may mock your new focus. This is because alignment often reveals misalignment in others. Do not interpret resistance as a sign to stop. Interpret it as confirmation that growth is visible. Archangel Michael stands with those who choose discipline over distraction. You must also guard your speech in the coming days. Words shape atmosphere. Complaining weakens spiritual posture. Gratitude strengthens it. When frustration rises, pause before speaking. The enemy listens for agreement. You not give agreement to doubt. There is also something deeply personal that needs your attention. A private insecurity you rarely admit. A belief that you are not fully ready for what is coming. That subtle self-doubt had been whispering, maybe later. Maybe someone else. Maybe you are overestimating yourself. That voice is not humility. It is fear disguised as caution. Archangel Michael is crying loudly because he sees the authority placed inside you. And authority unused becomes vulnerability. You are not underqualified for your calling. You are underconfident in your obedience. The gate before you does not require perfection. It requires courage. Something significant is forming after March 30th. It may begin small. A conversation. An invitation. An idea. But it will carry unusual weight. If you have cleansed your environment and sharpened your focus, you will recognize it immediately. If not, you may overlook it and call it ordinary. Heaven does not shout destiny repeatedly. It whispers once and watches who responds. That is why this moment matters. Take time in the next few days to physically adjust your space. Remove what feels heavy. Organize what feels chaotic. Light enters where clutter leaves. These simple acts are spiritual statements. They tell the unseen realm that you are preparing intentionally. Archangel Michael responds to preparation. You may also feel an increased desire to withdraw briefly from noise. Under that, silence is not isolation. It is recalibration. The more you quiet external voices, the clearer divine direction becomes. Remember, this is not about fear. It is about refinement. You are not being warned because something terrible is destined to happen. You are being warned because something powerful is destined to unfold. And power requires readiness. The crying you sense is protective urgency. It is heaven saying, do not delay one more day. As March 30th approaches, pay attention to your dreams. Pay attention to repeated numbers or phrases that catch your attention. Pay attention to sudden clarity about decisions you have been postponing. These are confirmations, not coincidences. And above all, do not return to old patterns simply because they are familiar. You are standing at the edge of transition. And the way you respond in these quiet days will determine the strength of your next season. The gate is still open, but not forever. Warrior of destiny, there is a deeper layer to this emergency that you must now understand. The urgency surrounding March 30th is not only about what you must release or adjust. It is also about a truth that has been hidden from you intentionally, and that truth concerns your identity. For too long, you have underestimated the weight of your spiritual assignment. You have treated your sensitivity as weakness. You have treated your discernment as overthinking. You have treated your compassion as vulnerability. But what you dismissed as personality traits are actually indicators of calling. Archangel Michael does not cry loudly over ordinary lives drifting through routine. He intervenes with intensity when someone marked for impact begins to drift off course. There is a mantle over your life that you have not fully acknowledged. You feel things deeply. You sense shifts before others notice them. You pick up on atmospheres quickly. That is not coincidence. That is spiritual awareness. But because you were never properly guided in how to manage it, you learn to suppress it. Suppression creates delay. March 30th represents a moment where you can no longer pretend you are unaware. You cannot keep saying, maybe it is just my imagination. You cannot keep ignoring the instincts that consistently prove accurate. Every time you silenced your intuition, you weakened your confidence. Every time you doubted your discernment, you postponed growth. Archangel Michael has been protecting you even when you doubted yourself. There were situations you narrowly avoided without realizing how close they were to draining you. There were conversations that never happened because intervention occurred quietly. There were opportunities removed because they would have misaligned your path. You called it luck. It was protection. But protection without participation has limits. Heaven guards what you commit to steward. There is also a pattern in your life where you shrink in environments that require boldness. When your voice should rise, you become cautious. When your leadership should step forward, you step back. And afterward, you feel regret. That regret is not condemnation. It is awareness knocking. March 30th will test your willingness to stand in your authority. Not loudly, not dramatically, but clearly. You may be placed in a moment where silence would be easier, where blending in would feel safer. But this time, blending in will cost more than standing out. The emergency is not about disaster approaching. It is about opportunity requiring courage. Archangel Michael is crying because hesitation has become a habit, and habits shape destiny. Think about the areas where you repeatedly say, "I will start tomorrow." Tomorrow becomes next week. Next week becomes next month. And the cycle continues. That cycle ends only when a decision interrupts it. The spiritual realm responds instantly to decisive faith. When you move, heaven moves. When you act, reinforcement follows. You are not waiting on a sign. You are responding to one right now. There is something else you must hear clearly. The insecurity you battle is not random. It was cultivated by past criticism. Words spoken over you in earlier seasons still echo quietly in your thoughts. Someone once questioned your capability. Someone once minimized your potential. And part of you believed them. But those voices were never authorized to define you. Archangel Michael has been assigned to dismantle false narratives about your identity. Yet you must stop replaying them. Every time you repeat limiting beliefs, you reopen doors that heaven closed. March 30th marks the expiration of a false version of you. The version that doubts instinct. The version that avoids responsibility. The version that tolerates misalignment. That version cannot cross the next threshold. And here is the revelation that may surprise you. The emergency is not about something being taken from you. It is about something powerful being entrusted to you. Responsibility increases. Influence increases. Visibility increases. That is why preparation matters. If your foundation is insecurity, visibility will feel threatening. But if your foundation is obedience, visibility will feel purposeful. Archangel Michael's cry is fierce because he sees who you are becoming. And becoming requires leaving behind what once felt comfortable. Over the next days, pay attention to moments where you feel tempted to shrink. That is where growth is demanding expression. Speak with clarity. Act with confidence. Make decisions without overanalyzing every possible outcome. You are not reckless. You are ready. And readiness activates protection at a higher level. There will be confirmation soon. A small sign that your alignment is working. It may not look dramatic, but you will recognize it internally. Peace will replace confusion. Confidence will replace hesitation. Do not dismiss that shift when it happens. Because March 30th is not simply a date of warning. It is a date of identity activation. And once identity activates, destiny accelerates. Anointed listener, the intensity you have been feeling is about to make even more sense. Because what stands before you is not merely a moment of identity activation, but a confrontation with a pattern that has quietly followed you for years. March 30th is drawing a line between the old cycle and a new structure of living. There has been a repeating rhythm in your life. You rise with motivation. You gain clarity. You start building momentum, and then something interrupts your consistency. Not a major collapse. Just enough distraction to slow you down. Enough delay to weaken your focus. Enough emotional noise to cloud your direction. And after each cycle, you tell yourself you will do better next time. Archangel Michael has been watching this pattern carefully. The crying you sense is not about one mistake. It is about repetition. Because repetition becomes identity if left unchecked. And heaven refuses to let you define yourself by cycles that were never meant to be permanent. March 30th represents a structural reset. This is not about temporary inspiration. It is about sustainable discipline. You cannot step into accelerated favor while maintaining inconsistent foundations. The next level of your life requires rhythm, not randomness. You may ask, why now? Why such urgency? Because something is aligning behind the scenes that will demand reliability from you. If opportunity meets instability, Opportunity retreat. Archangel Michael is crying loudly because the opportunity approaching you cannot partner with inconsistency. Look honestly at your habits, your sleep schedule, your prayer consistency, your focus span, your commitment to what you start. None of these require perfection, but they require intention. There is also emotional consistency that needs attention. Some days you are confident and hopeful. Other days you are doubtful and withdrawn. The fluctuation is exhausting you, and much of it stems from allowing external reactions to dictate internal stability. The next season will test emotional maturity, not in a harsh way, in a refining way. When criticism comes, will you crumble or adjust? When praise comes, will you become distracted or remain grounded? Stability is spiritual strength. Archangel Michael is not only guarding you from external interference, he is urging you to guard yourself from internal sabotage. You have more control than you realize. The emergency attached to March 30th is this: if you do not consciously interrupt the old cycle, it will attempt to repeat under new circumstances. Different faces, different environments, same pattern. But you are being given awareness in advance. Awareness is mercy. There is a specific commitment you must make before that date. A personal decision that says, I will not repeat this again. Speak it out loud. Write it down. Anchor it in your routine. Heaven responds to declared intention. And listen carefully. You may feel resistance rising as you consider discipline change. That resistance is proof that change is necessary. Growth always feels uncomfortable before it feels natural. Do not wait for motivation. Act on conviction. Something remarkable happens when you choose structure over impulse. Peace increases. Clarity sharpens. Confidence stabilizes. Archangel Michael's covering intensifies because you are cooperating with divine order. And I need to speak directly to you for a moment. If this message is challenging you in a real way, do not stay silent. Engage. Like this message so others who are trapped in cycles can encounter this warning before their own March 30th moment arrives. Share it with someone who keeps saying they want change but feel stuck repeating patterns. Comment your commitment below so your decision becomes public and anchored. Subscribe and join this growing movement of disciplined believers who refuse to live randomly. There is power in collective alignment. Hold on to this truth. Discipline is not restriction. It is protection. Archangel Michael fights battles you cannot see, but you fight the habits you can see. When both align, acceleration becomes inevitable. In the coming days, simplify your schedule. Remove unnecessary obligations. Focus on essential priorities. Say no where you once said maybe. Protect your time fiercely. You are building a foundation for something that will require clarity. And here is the deeper revelation. Once the structural reset occurs, momentum will feel different. You will not feel forced. It will feel steady. You will not constantly question your direction. You will sense forward movement without emotional chaos. March 30th is not meant to intimidate you. It is meant to empower you. You are not behind. You are being refined. And what happens next will confirm that the crying you heard was not panic. It was preparation. Steadfast heart. Now the veil begins to lift even further. What you have been sensing is not only about cycles, identity, or discipline. There is a relational shift approaching your life, and this is one of the core reasons Archangel Michael is crying loudly before March 30th arrives. Relationships are gates. They either accelerate destiny or delay it. In this season, someone in your circle is standing at a crossroads concerning you. Their loyalty, their intention, their alignment is being weighed, not because they are evil, not because they are dangerous, but because not everyone is meant to travel into your next level of responsibility. You have felt subtle tension with this person. Conversations feel slightly strained. Energy feels different. You keep trying to restore the old rhythm, but something inside you knows it is changing. You have prayed about it. You have questioned yourself. You have wondered if you are overthinking. You are not overthinking. Archangel Michael hath been adjusting spiritual distance quietly. When heaven prepares to elevate you, it reorganizes proximity. Some people move closer. Some move further. This is not punishment. It is alignment. The emergency connected to March 30th involves discernment. If you ignore what you are sensing, you may overextend trust where caution is required, where you may withdraw from someone who is actually assigned to support you. Discernment must be clear. That is why distraction has been intensifying. A distracted mind cannot discern properly. Ask yourself honestly, who drains your clarity after every interaction? Who leaves you second-guessing your progress? Who subtly minimizes your growth? Pay attention without becoming paranoid. This is not about suspicion. It is about awareness. There is also someone else, quieter, less obvious, who respects your growth more than they express. You may have overlooked their consistency because they are not loud. But watch closely. Support does not always shout. Sometimes it stands steadily in the background. March 30th will reveal alignment through behavior. You will not need dramatic exposure. You will notice patterns. Consistency will speak. Inconsistency will reveal itself. Archangel Michael's cry carries urgency because relational misalignment can slow destiny more than external opposition. When you attach emotionally to those who cannot steward your growth, you spend energy managing tension instead of building momentum. You must be courageous enough to accept relational shifts without resentment. Not every ending is betrayal. Some endings are graduation. And not every new connection is distraction. Some are divine appointments. This is why internal stability matters. If you are emotionally reactive, you may interpret necessary distance as rejection. If you are grounded, you will recognize it as protection. There is a conversation approaching. It may not happen exactly on March 30th, but the shift will orbit that date. Words will be spoken that clarify positioning. You must listen carefully. Do not interrupt. Do not overdefend. Observe. Archangel Michael stands guard over truth. When truth surfaces, allow it to stand without emotional distortion. You are entering a season where your inner circle will matter deeply. The next assignment in your life cannot thrive in chaotic relational environments. Peace is a prerequisite for expansion. Let me tell you something that may surprise you. Some of the tension you feel is not because someone dislikes you. It is because they sense you are evolving beyond shared comfort zones. Growth creates distance where stagnation once bonded you. Do not shrink to maintain familiarity. If someone is meant to walk with you, they will adjust with you. If they are not, forcing closeness will create frustration on both sides. March 30th symbolizes clarity and connections. In the coming days, you may feel prompted to reduce access. That does not require dramatic announcements. Sometimes maturity is quiet. Sometimes strength is silent boundaries. Archangel Michael's loud cry is protective urgency, saying, "Choose wisely who stands beside you in the next chapter." There is peace waiting on the other side of this discernment. Lighter conversations, clearer agreements, healthy dynamics. And once relational alignment stabilizes, momentum will increase without unnecessary friction. You not fear what shifts. Fear only ignoring what is clearly being revealed. You are not losing support. You are refining it. And what is about to unfold next will confirm that the emergency was never about panic. It was about positioning the right people in the right places before acceleration begins. Awakened soul, you have come this far because something inside you knows this is not ordinary information. The urgency surrounding March 30th is now reaching its most delicate layer. It is not only about your identity, your discipline, or your relationships. It is about a decision that will define the spiritual atmosphere of your next season. Archangel Michael is crying loudly because there is a silent agreement you have been entertaining. Not spoken out loud, but formed internally. An agreement with limitation. An agreement with delay. An agreement that says, maybe this is just how my life will always be. That agreement must be broken before March 30th. You may not even realize when it formed. It likely developed after repeated disappointments, after prayers that seemed delayed, after efforts that did not immediately produce visible results. Slowly, subtly, you adjusted your expectations downward to protect yourself from feeling discouraged again. But lowered expectation is not humility. It is self-protection rooted in fear. And fear cannot cross the threshold you are approaching. There is a difference between patience and passive acceptance. Patience trusts divine timing while staying prepared. Passive acceptance stops preparing altogether. If you are honest, there were moments you stopped expecting real change. You continue routine, but your anticipation weakened. Archangel Michael's cry is fierce because heaven refuses to let you settle into quiet resignation. March 30th is a line in the sand where internal agreements are exposed. What you truly believe about your future will begin to manifest through your decisions. If you believe nothing significant will change, you will act cautiously. If you believe transformation is near, you will act boldly. Belief shapes behavior. You must renew your expectation immediately. Something greater is indeed approaching, but it cannot land in a heart that expects disappointment. Preparation is not only physical, it is mental and spiritual. Begin speaking differently about your future, even in private, especially in private. Stop rehearsing worst-case scenarios. Start envisioning responsible success. See yourself handling opportunity with wisdom. See yourself speaking with confidence. See yourself standing in rooms you once thought were beyond reach. This is not fantasy. This is alignment. Archangel Michael has been guarding doors you have not even knocked on yet. But when those doors open, you must walk through without shrinking. There is also a spiritual cleansing happening around you. You may feel old memories resurfacing. Not to hurt you, but to detach you. When past disappointments replay in your mind over the next few days, confront them with truth. Say internally, that was a lesson, not a life sentence. March 30th marks the expiration of silent defeat. You are not meant to survive your destiny. You are meant to step fully into it. Something else is critical here. The enemy of your growth has relied on one strategy repeatedly, convincing you that urgency is pressure rather than protection. When you feel urgency, you tend to feel stressed. But divine urgency is loving correction before consequence. Archangel Michael is not crying because you are failing. He is crying because you are on the verge of breaking through an invisible ceiling. That ceiling is expectation. Raise it. In the coming days, act as if momentum is already forming. Wake up earlier. Prepare as though opportunity is confirmed. Clean your space as though guests of honor are arriving. Adjust your posture as though responsibility is expanding. These physical acts signal internal belief, and belief activates acceleration. If this message is stirring something bold within you, do not stay passive. Comment your declaration of renewed expectation below. Let others see that you refuse to agree with limitation. Share this message with someone who has quietly lowered their expectations. Like this video so this urgency spreads to those standing at their own invisible ceiling. Subscribe and join this movement of awakened believers who refuse silent defeat. Because what is coming next will require courage sustained, not temporary excitement. March 30th is not about surviving a warning. It is about stepping into upgraded expectation. If this awakening is resonating with your spirit, type "I break limitation" in the comments. Blessing code 5824 is now activated over those who refuse internal defeat. And as the ceiling cracks above you, remember that obedience multiplies when it is shared. The seed you sow into spreading this message becomes light in someone else's darkness. Just as you are breaking agreement with limitation, heaven is inviting you to partner in breaking chains for others. When you release super thanks, step into membership, or sow through the PayPal link in the description, you are not giving to a platform. You are igniting a torch that reaches hidden hearts before their own deadline arrives. The Lord declares, "Cast your bread upon the waters, and after many days it will return to you," and that promise breathes over this very act. I sense this strongly. Your seed becomes oil in the lamp of someone losing hope. This is not charity. It is covenant participation. As you give, you align with the very urgency that awakened you today. Open heavens respond to open hands. When you plant into this mission, you help carry warnings, clarity, and restoration to souls standing at spiritual checkpoints. The harvest attached to obedience will visit your household in unexpected favor. Do not delay generosity when you have just broken agreement with delay. Step forward boldly. Release your seed. Strengthen the river of light now. Courageous spirit. The atmosphere around this message is tightening for a reason. March 30th is now very near in the spirit, and what once felt like distant urgency is becoming immediate clarity. This is the hour where everything you have heard must translate into action. Archangel Michael is not crying to inform you. He is crying to mobilize you. There is a final layer of preparation that has remained unspoken until now. It concerns forgiveness. Not surface-level forgiveness. Not polite acknowledgement. Deep release. There is someone whose memory still triggers emotion in you. You may not speak about them often. You may even believe you have moved on. But if their name were mentioned unexpectedly, your peace would shift slightly. A shift is evidence of unfinished release. Unforgiveness anchors you to old seasons, and old anchors prevent new movement. March 30th cannot be crossed with hidden resentment. The weight will slow your progress. Archangel Michael's urgency includes emotional cleansing because spiritual acceleration requires a light heart. Forgiveness does not excuse behavior. It frees you from carrying it. There were things said that hurt you deeply. There were actions that disappointed you. There were expectations that collapsed. But holding those memories as active wounds drains strength needed for what is coming. In the next few days, you may feel prompted to revisit certain memories intentionally. Do not avoid them. Sit with them. Breathe through them. And then release them consciously. Say within yourself, "I choose freedom over familiarity." You are not forgiving because they deserve it. You are forgiving because you deserve peace. Archangel Michael stands ready to reinforce emotional boundaries once you release internal bitterness. Protection intensifies what resentment dissolves. There is also self-forgiveness required. You have replayed past mistakes more than anyone else has. You have judged yourself for decisions made under pressure. You have questioned why you did not act sooner, why you trusted too quickly, why you hesitated too long. But growth often comes disguised as regret. If you had known then what you know now, you would have chosen differently. That realization is maturity, not failure. March 30th symbolizes emotional maturity. You cannot carry shame into expanded responsibility. Shame distorts confidence, and confidence is required where you are headed. Let this settle deeply. You are not behind schedule. You are learning. You are refining discernment. You are building resilience. Archangel Michael's cry includes compassion. It includes fierce defense, yes, but also understanding. Heaven saw your struggle even when others misunderstood it. Now it is time to let go fully. You may feel resistance as you attempt this emotional release. Tears may surface unexpectedly. Old conversations may replay in your thoughts. That is not regression. It is cleansing. Do not rush it, but do not postpone it either. There is something waiting for you beyond this release that requires emotional availability. A new connection, a restored opportunity, a platform of influence. Whatever form it takes, it will demand that your heart be unburdened. Resentment occupies space that opportunity needs. And March 30th approaches. Create intentional quiet moments. Reflect honestly. Pray sincerely. Speak forgiveness aloud if necessary. Write it down if your voice struggles. This is not weakness. This is strength refined. You will notice something subtle after this release. Your breathing will feel lighter. Your thoughts will feel clear. Decisions will come more easily. That is emotional weightlifting. Archangel Michael is preparing you to walk forward without invisible chains. And understand this clearly. Forgiving does not require reconnecting. Release does not require reconciliation. Some people will remain in your past where they belong, but they will no longer reside in your emotional present. That is freedom. What is ahead of you carries joy that cannot coexist with bitterness. And heaven refuses to let you sabotage future peace by clinging to former pain. The crying you sensed was urgent because time-sensitive favor cannot land on a heart consumed by yesterday. March 30th is about lightness. Let go. Release. Forgive. And prepare to step into clarity without emotional residue. Because what unfolds next will confirm that this cleansing was not optional. It was necessary. Determined one. You are now standing at the final stretch before March 30th. Everything that has been revealed to you, identity, discipline, relationships, expectation, forgiveness, has been leading to this moment of decision. Not emotion, not inspiration. Decision. Archangel Michael is crying loudly because hesitation is still attempting to whisper to you. Even after all this clarity, a subtle voice is saying, you can adjust later. You can fully commit after the date passes. You have time. But that voice is the echo of every delayed season you have already outgrown. This is the hour to finalize alignment. There is a practical action you must take immediately. Not tomorrow. Not when you feel fully ready. Doubt. It may involve organizing something you have postponed, making a call you have delayed, removing something from your environment, setting a firm boundary, beginning a disciplined routine. Whatever it is, you already know. Clarity without action becomes frustration. March 30th will not magically transform your life. Your response before it arrives will. Archangel Michael's urgency is protective. He sees the potential collision between opportunity and unpreparedness. He sees the open door that requires readiness. and he refuses to let you approach it casually. Over the next few days, distractions will likely intensify. Unexpected invitations, emotional conversations, sudden fatigue, minor inconveniences. None of these are catastrophic, but all of them can dilute focus if you allow them to. Guard your attention fiercely. Your attention is currency. Spend it intentionally. You are not required to explain your new discipline to everyone. Quiet focus is more powerful than loud announcements. Let your results speak after March 30th. Something else is important here. Confidence will feel different now. Not loud, not dramatic. Calm, grounded. Turn. A calm confidence is evidence of alignment. When you notice it, protect it. There may also be one final test. A situation that mirrors an old pattern you have already decided to break. It may look familiar. It may feel tempting. But this time, your response must be different. The difference will signal the closing of a cycle. Archangel Michael is watching that moment carefully. Respond correctly once, and the pattern loses power. This is why everything feels urgent. Because a single decision can dismantle years of repetition. You are not weak. You were unaware. Now you are aware. And awareness demands responsibility. If this message has sharpened your focus, do not keep it to yourself. Like this video so others standing at their own decision point encounter this urgency in time. Share it with someone who keeps postponing necessary change. Comment below what action you are committing to before March 30th. Anchor your decision publicly. Subscribe and become part of this disciplined community that refuses to repeat old cycles. Momentum multiplies when we move together. Hold your focus right here. Because what happens after this decision will not only affect you, it will influence those connected to you. Your alignment becomes their breakthrough. There are people observing you quietly. Family members, friends, colleagues. They may not say it openly, but your consistency will challenge them. Your discipline will inspire them. Your courage will awaken something in them. March 30th is not only personal, it is generational. Do not underestimate the ripple effect of your obedience. And here is the final truth before the date arrives. Fear will attempt one last whisper. It will ask, what if nothing changes? But that question only arises when you focus on outcome instead of obedience. Your responsibility is obedience. Outcome belongs to God. Archangel Michael's cry was never about predicting disaster. It was about preventing regret. When March 30th arrives, you should feel peace, not panic. Confidence, not confusion. And that peace will come from knowing you responded when urgency called. Do not drift now. You are too close. The gate is before you. Step through it deliberately. Braveheart. The atmosphere has shifted. You can feel it now. The tension that once felt confusing has become focus. The urgency that once sounded like alarm now feels like clarity. March 30th is no longer just approaching. It is standing at your door. Archangel Michael is no longer crying and warning alone. There is anticipation in the sound now, because the moment of response has arrived. Everything has led to this threshold. Look back at the internal changes that have already begun. Your thoughts are sharper. Your boundaries clearer. Your emotions lighter. You are not the same person who first heard this message. Something inside you has stabilized. That stabilization is not accidental. In the unseen realm, movement has already started. Because heaven responds to intention quickly. The moment you decided to release resentment, cycles began weakening. The moment you chose discipline, structures began forming. The moment you broke agreement with limitation, ceilings began cracking. You may not see dramatic evidence yet, but do not mistake invisibility for inactivity. Seeds grow underground before they break the surface. March 30th represents emergence. But before emergence becomes visible, there is one final alignment that must settle within you. Trust. Not partial trust. Not cautious trust. Full trust. You have adjusted habits. You have released emotional weight. You have renewed expectation. But deep inside, there may still be a small reserve of control you are holding tightly. A backup plan rooted in fear. A subtle thought that says, if this does not work, I will retreat. Retreat is no longer an option. Archangel Michael's assignment around your life intensifies when you step forward without an escape plan rooted in doubt. This does not mean recklessness. It means commitment. Trust means believing that obedience is enough. You do not need to calculate every outcome. You do not need to predict every challenge. You do not need visible guarantees. The gate before you responds to faith. In these final hours leading to March 30th, silence will be powerful. You may feel drawn inward. Conversations may feel less necessary. Noise may feel irritating. This is not isolation. It is focus deepening. Honor that focus. Speak less. Observe more. Act deliberately. There is a subtle confidence forming in your posture. You may notice it in how you walk, how you speak, how you respond to pressure. That steadiness is evidence that alignment is complete. Archangel Michael's earlier cry was urgent because delay was possible. Now, delay is dissolving. The environment around you may not yet look different, but your perception has changed. And Berzevian Hivs Revian. When March 30th arrives, something subtle yet powerful will occur internally. A sense of crossing. A feeling that a chapter has closed. You may not hear thunder. You may not see dramatic signs. But you will know. Peace will replace pressure. Clarity will replace confusion. Confidence will replace hesitation. And here is what is extraordinary. The emergency was never about external catastrophe. It was about internal transformation. Before opportunity met you, opportunity is still coming. A conversation will shift direction in your favor. An idea will gain traction. A door that once felt distant will feel reachable. A responsibility will be entrusted to you that confirms growth. When that moment happens, remember this journey. Remember that the crying was protection. Remember that the urgency was love. Remember that the preparation was necessary. You are not stepping into perfection. You are stepping into maturity. And maturity attracts trust. Trust from others. Trust from leaders. Trust from heaven. March 30th is not the end of something terrifying. It is the beginning of something stable. Stand firm in that knowledge. Do not second-guess the changes you made. Do not revisit old agreements. Do not reopen closed emotional doors. Forward is your only direction now. Archangel Michael stands beside you not in alarm, but in affirmation. The gate is open, and you are ready to cross. Victorious one, this is the crossing. March 30th has arrived in the spirit, and what once felt like a warning now feels like fulfillment. The crying of Archangel Michael was never meant to frighten you. It was meant to wake you, and you responded. Pause for a moment and recognize who you are now compared to when this message first reached you. You are clearer, lighter, more decisive, more aware. The emergency was not outside of you. It was within you. a call to awaken before destiny demanded more than you were prepared to give. Archangel Michael's loud cry has shifted into a sound of triumph. Because you did not ignore the urgency this time. Look at what has changed. You release resentment. You confronted unhealthy patterns. You adjusted your discipline. You refined your relationships. You raised your expectation. You chose obedience over delay. These are not small actions. They were spiritual declarations. And declarations shift atmospheres. March 30th marks the sealing of a new posture in your life. Not a temporary motivation. A new posture. You will notice that your reactions are different now. Situations that once triggered anxiety will meet calm responses. Conversations that once intimidated you will feel manageable. Decisions that once felt overwhelming will now feel clear. This is maturity activated. Archangel Michael stands not as a warning voice now, but as reinforcement. Protection increases around those who step into responsibility. The battle you sensed earlier was about whether you would rise. Now that you have risen, resistance loses authority. Do not expect life to become silent or effortless. Expect yourself to be stronger within it. There will still be challenges, but you will approach them differently. Instead of reacting emotionally, you will respond strategically. Instead of doubting yourself, you will trust the preparation that already occurred. Instead of shrinking, you will stand. This is the true miracle of March 30th. Not external fireworks, internal transformation. And because you answered the urgency, something significant will unfold in the coming weeks. It may begin quietly, a door opening through conversation, a responsibility offered unexpectedly, a breakthrough in clarity regarding your purpose. When it happens, do not minimize it. Receive it fully. This is what Archangel Michael was guarding. The emergency has ended because alignment has begun. But hear this carefully. Your vigilance must continue. Growth is not a one-time event. It is a maintained posture. Continue protecting your time. Continue guarding your heart. Continue speaking life. Continue choosing discipline. The gate has been crossed, but the journey continues upward. And now, there is one final spiritual act. If you have walked through this entire message and you feel the shift within you, type "I crossed over" in the comments. Blessing code 9037 is now released over those who step through the gate with courage and obedience. Let that declaration seal your transition. Now listen closely, because this moment does not end with you. Just as you crossed over before March 30th, there are countless others standing at their own silent emergency, waiting for light to reach them. When you release super thanks, step into membership, or sow through the PayPal link in the description, you are not supporting a channel. You are helping heaven sound the alarm in time for another soul. The Lord declares, "Those who sow in tears shall reap in joy." And this is not distant scripture. It is God inviting you into partnership right now. I feel this deeply. Your seed becomes a trumpet in someone else's darkness. This is not a casual offering. It is a prophetic act. As you give, you align yourself with the very protection and acceleration that covered you. Open hands, like open heavens. Every contribution extends this message beyond borders, beyond algorithms, into hearts that are about to face their own March 30th. Do not treat this as optional generosity. Treat it as obedience in motion. Step forward boldly. Activate your support. Strengthen the mission. Let your giving become light that reaches others before their gate closes.